This is a quick video about the Citroen deux chevaux, the 2CV carburetor that, for a customer that came in. It has the aftermarket replacement, and that was damaged, so we bought another aftermarket replacement, which seems to be from the same company and everything. But I want to show you some of the troubles that I've had with both of them. So originally we had one with running issues. You see we got like a broken base. I don't know how that had occurred. Here's the idle screw, and of course it had popped out a piece, and luckily it was captive in the body and didn't fall into the throat of the carburetor. But oh, and then this came in with a bolt instead of a pin, and there's no threads. It's just, it's just there. It doesn't do anything. We're having all kinds of running issues. But I want to show you, I guess for those that you don't know, I want to go over the operation of this. So here we have, this is the idle jet, and this only works with the idle screw. It only goes to this hole exclusively. So these transition holes are not off of that idle jet. It is off this second jet. And then of course there's a main jet here. So one of the problems I have is I couldn't get the transition to work right. So I took it all apart. What I noticed is this is the air bleed. I'm using the pin for the float just to show the size. So it's actually a very large air bleed for that. And the carburetor that was in it is a much smaller hole, which means I will have to solder this. I will have to solder this closed and re-drill it. And I'm not even sure this one was correct. I mean, this one is for sure wrong. I also want to show some of the quality, is we have this off-centered, poorly drilled hole, and here is actually like a much more precisely drilled centered hole. I'm not sure which one is correct either, but I was kind of disappointed with the quality of that. And then another thing of note, and I've already started cleaning up, I should have done the video beforehand, is that there's all this casting flash. So this hole was actually significantly smaller, and that works off of airflow. You can see that hole, and that's where the fuel comes from the main jet. So it needs airflow to go past here to create a vacuum for the Bernoulli effect to flow good fuel. And if the more blocked off this is, the less vacuum you're going to have, like the less airflow, which means less vacuum. I just want to show the quality of the choke jet is pretty poor. And again, it's not choke. I'm sorry, accelerator pump jet is also poor. It doesn't really matter. You can adjust the accelerator pump from the rod. The other thing I want to note is that these are not flush. This is something that might go against the cover. So I'm going to tap those in as far as they go, and then I will have to file them flat just to make sure I don't have a problem. The other issue I have with these is setting the float level. It's already difficult because the needle's in the top and the float is in the bottom, and when you close it you can't see it, so you have to assemble it, put fuel to it, take it apart, and look at what the float level is. But there's a step right here. So you have this flat surface, and then there's a step here. So as I put in a gasket, you can see it just distorts it, and actually I was having trouble sealing it. So this carburetor's been actually a lot of trouble. This is actually quite an expensive carburetor too. The original one doesn't exist. It didn't come with the car. I'm just doing the service. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention I don't have the other top here, but all the casting flash inside of the choke housing wouldn't allow the choke to close, so I had to go through and file it so the choke would actually fit. So I've actually already done quite a bit of work to this carburetor just to make it function. And this carburetor right out of the box, took it right out of the box, put it on the car, and it wouldn't run. So it took the jets out of the carburetor that was already on there, the broken one, and I could see that it has Solex jets, which means the jets didn't work from that one either, and they took it out of the carb that they replaced, which it must have been the original because they have Solex. And then the car ran. And then from there, I was just having tuning issues. There's some other issues with the car, but there's really been a lot of issues with these carburetors. It's really like a very poor quality carburetor. This is the TCV MCC. This is the Solex Pic. I forget which number. But on the original carb, there's 2 gaskets on it. So it was actually super low fuel. The one that came in had 1 thick gasket, not the same as that. So like still working on it. Oh, another thing I had to do was this arm here was all bent. It's hard to get that in here. But this arm, I had to bend that significantly to get the spring to clear, but also have this pin work. And I've got way too much time into this carburetor now, and I'm not even finished. And I wish I just had the original. So any of you considering buying a brand new Solex for, I believe they're like $450 from the Duchevaux parts dealers, I would might want to consider buying an original and refurbishing it. You'd probably be better off. It might even be less work to make an original one work, even with repairs, than it would to make a brand new one work. So, oh well, I'm still working. I'm going to get the casting flash out of the throat also. You can see it's all around. But yeah, fun times.